All right, today we're talking about 8.6, the law of sines. Just a quick comment. The test for chapter 8 is coming up on Thursday. So on Wednesday, tomorrow, we will do some review. The only things off of 8.6 that will be on the test will be examples exactly like the ones we do in the notes or the homework for tonight. So all of the problems that we're doing here or the ones that I'm assigning would be very similar, the exact same questions, just depending on what part I ask for. All right. The rest we've taken quizzes on. So at this point, if you haven't been asking questions and you still had questions about those parts, then you need to be taking care of that in the next 2 days. All right. Our first example, so we've been talking about law of sines now for 2 or 3 days. So we're just going to jump into looking at some examples of these. So if we have a triangle ABC, and angle A is 35 degrees, angle B is 48 degrees, and AC is 28. The first question you might ask yourself is, what is the measure of angle C? This is hopefully the easy question off of this. The measure of angle C, well, the angle A plus B plus C is 180. So 180 minus 35 minus 48. All right, 180, the sum of the interior angles of a triangle, minus 48 minus 35, the two angles that we know, is 97. So the measure of angle C is 97 degrees. Now another question we might ask is, what is the length of BC? Right? So what's the length of BC? In your homework, it's simply going to have a variable. So it'll be like x here, and it'll say solve for x. Right? But here, CB, so what's the length of CB? Well, we know that the law of sines says the sine of some angle, I'm going to use angle B, over the side opposite that angle. The side opposite angle B is 28. Equals the sine of any other angle over its opposite. I'm using 35. The side opposite it is BC. Here now we have a proportion. And so we're just going to cross multiply and solve. One more time though. So it's the sine of an angle over the side opposite it, sine of an angle over the side opposite it. That's the one that we're looking for. We cross multiply and we get BC sine of 48 is 28 sine of 35. We want to know what BC is, so we're going to divide both sides by the sine of 48. The sine of 48 is just a number, right? And divide by the sine of 48. Now, as you put this into a calculator, pretty much wherever you do, it's going to open a parenthesis here, and you need to make sure to close that parenthesis. So we have 28 sine 35 divided by the sine of 48, and I get about 21.6, and that's where we're going to round to. The question could ask to find AB as well. So if we wanted to find this length, right? We could go back and use sine of 48 over 28 is the sine of C. The sine of C is 97. over the side AB. Again, we cross multiply, we get AB sine of 48 is 28 sine of 97. We're looking for AB. The sine of 48 is just a number, so we divide both sides by it. Again, remember your calculator will probably open a parentheses there, so you need to close it. And we get AB is about 37.39, well, it is 37.39687, 37.3939 rounds up to a 10th value of 4. Okay. And technically I didn't call it this here. What we just did was we solved this triangle. We know all 3 angles. We know the lengths of all 3 sides. The only thing that I would suggest that you maybe do is just go back and make sure that your answers do make sense. So does it make sense that AB is 37.4? And does it make sense that BC is 21.6? Well, we know that in a triangle, the longest side has to be across from the biggest angle. Our biggest angle is 97 degrees. 37.4 is the longest side. We know in a triangle that the across from the smallest angle is the smallest side. 21.6 is the smallest side. 35 is the smallest angle. So the answers at least make sense, right? We won't go into whether or not they make more sense than that, but at least in general, they do make sense for what we're looking at. All right, we'll look at one more. $17.46. We'll go A, B, C. And the side is 18. So again, our first question might be, oops, what is the measure of angle? Measure of angle A is the one we don't know here. Like the last one, it is 180 minus 46 minus 17. $180 minus 46 minus 17 is 117. Right? If I wanted to find the length of CB, right? So maybe one of the hardest parts here is deciding which set of angles you use first. So above here, I used the sine of 48 over 28. Why did I use the sine of 48 over 28? It's because it's the angle and side combination that I had, right? So I had an angle and I knew the side opposite it. I didn't know any other angle and side opposite. So here, which angle and side opposite pair do I have? I know 46 degrees. The side opposite it is 18. So that's what I want to start with. So I'm going to start with the sine of 46 over the side opposite, which is 18, equals, and I forget which one I said we were going to solve for. So let's solve for AC first. Which angle is opposite AC? Well, the side AC, the angle opposite is 17. So we have the sine of 17 over the side AC. Then it's angle over side opposite, angle over side opposite. Cross multiply. And divide. Again, I've said it twice in this video at least already. The sine of 46 is just a number. And we're left with AC is about 18 sine 17 divided by the sine of 46. .3. All right, I would suggest that you pause the video here in a second after I give you the instructions. I want you to find the length of BC. So pause the video, solve it, and then come back and watch. All right, so I'm going to use the same thing to start, the sine of 46 over 18, because 18 is not rounded, and so it's going to give us a better answer than using the sine of 17 over 7.3, equals the sine of the angle opposite side CB. Well, that's angle A, which we found here to be 117, over our side CB or BC. It doesn't matter which one we call it, right? So we get CB, CB times the sine of 46 is 18 sine 117. Sine 46. Again, 18 sine 117. Remember to close that parenthesis, divide by the sine of 46. And hopefully you got CB is about 22.3. Again, you could also have BC, about 22.3. All right, so that is all we're going to do on the notes today. This technically, for what your homework is, 4 different problems, or 6, depending on how you look at it. So that is all we're going to do. The homework, the pictures are posted in the actual description. So in the description, can't spell, description for the homework. If you have problems viewing that, so if the pictures aren't showing up, let me know. You have to do numbers 1 through 5. Number 6 is extra credit. All right. Again, if you would also like to see, I'll do the same thing here live at noon. The information is posted in the instructions for that.